Learning how to use the snap mode in CUBASE will make all your editing much easier. Snap means to lock to some sort of position or time. In most cases, you'll be using bars and beats as your snapping position. This is where you can turn on and off the snap button. The key command for it is J. If you want to lock to bars and beats, right-click on the ruler area and select it there. You can also choose other formats such as seconds, time codes, samples, etc. But right now we're just going to snap within bars and beats. The button to the right of the snap mode is your snap mode selector. This is where you can select whether you are snapping to a grid, in our case the grid is bars and beats, grid relative, which is a little tricky to explain, but look at this piece of audio. It's not exactly on bar 6, but when I move it, it keeps it locked relative to where it was, but still moves it in bar increments. Events. When you move this audio event around, it'll lock to the end time of this event or the start time of this event. Shuffle, which allows you to move events that are adjacent to each other by switching places with them. And magnetic cursor, which causes the event that is being moved to snap to the project cursor. We'll go over these in more detail soon. The other three are just combinations of the previous snap modes. Let's begin by explaining grid mode. When I turn the snap on and choose grid, the event will now lock to the grid. You may ask, well, what grid? To the right of the snap mode selector is the grid mode selector. In our case, let's choose bar. Now when we want to move an event, it snaps to bars. Bar 5, bar 6, back to bar 4. If we want to get it to snap to smaller divisions, choose beat from the grid selector. Now let's choose Use Quantize. To the right of the grid selector, we can pick eighth notes from the Quantize selector. Now we can move this audio event around in eighth note increments. As you can see, snapping is very easy to understand, yet extremely powerful. I'm going to explain grid mode in more detail. This will help explain the next two boxes over here. When you use something other than bars and beats, for example, let's say timecode or seconds, you'll notice that this menu item's changed. We can now move or snap our audio events in 1 millisecond increments, 10 milliseconds, 100 milliseconds, etc. We can change it to samples. And now we can move our audio event in 1 sample, 10 samples, 100 samples, etc. Once again, snapping is easy to use, easy to understand, yet very powerful.